Yeah, good evening, class. I'm sorry for delaying you guys for a while now. So it's my phone issue. So I got a new phone. I'm trying to download this. So I'm sorry for that. Last week, can anybody
No
hear
problem.
me?
Yes, I can
Hello.
hear you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, last 2 or 3 weeks ago, we discussed about the supply aspect of the economies. We also discussed about the law of supply. We also discussed about factors that affect supply. And aside from that, we've explained what demand is all about, the law of demand and factors that affect demand. So for today now, we want to discuss about the elasticity of demand and elasticity in the market. Also discuss about the elasticity of supply. In general view, under economics concept, if you are talking about elasticity, elasticity is talking about the reaction. If something happens, what is going to be the
Hello,
response?
hello, bro. I can hardly hear you.
Ah, uh, let me see what could be the problem.
Felix, can you hear me very well?
So I can.
Can I continue with this?
Yes, sir.
Because my speaker is on 100%, so I don't know.
I can hear you, sir. You can
So
continue.
let's continue. Uh, that last week, the last about the elasticity in the market. That means when there is changes, how does the demand or supply respond to it? If you hear anything about elasticity, it's talking about the reaction, the response level, the degree of responsiveness of demand to changes in price. If the price of the commodity what we are buying before, let us look at the diesel now. Before now, we'll be buying diesel for 350, 320. Suddenly they increase the price to 550. From 550 enter 600, from 600 enter 750. It got to a point in Lagos it entered 800. So now it has dropped back to 650. Now the reaction of demand, what is the degree of responsiveness of demand to that increment in in diesel? How does people feel it? How do they feel it that okay, supply has changed? Maybe what they are supplying to the market is not up to what they used to supply to the market before. Now the quantity has changed. How will the demand respond to it? That's what the elasticity is talking about. Either the changes in your personal income. If your income change, how will you react to it in the market? So that's what the concept is all about. That's why in most of the textbook, if you see the definition, they will just say is the degree of responsiveness of demand to changes in price. If you see degree of responsiveness of demand, it's talking about the elasticity. Once you see the degree of responsiveness, just know that they are talking about elasticity. That should be the first thing that will come into your mind. Before we now be looking at it, that what type of elasticity are they talking about? What is the relationship in the degree of responsiveness? Is it a total changes? Is it a little change? Is there a gap that is not measurable in the changes of in the price of that particular commodity? So at that point, you are trying to measure it, to measure the degree of the response in it. So to check that the changes in price is it leading to equal changes in quantity? A restaurant will not be the same thing as responded to quantity A. So let's assume the changes in, if they change the price of salt now, the response rate on salt will not be the same thing with the response rate on the price of let's assume that diesel. That every, because the reason why the response is not going to look is going to be not going to be the same thing is that there are some goods that are necessity, while there are some goods that are not necessity, they are secondary. While there are some goods, either you like it or not, you consume it, and you cannot consume in excess of them. That those are the things that determine the rate at which the demand will respond to the changes that we are talking about. For example, now if the price of salt change, that does not mean that the consumer will buy excess of it or will reduce what they are buying. So in the price of salt now, the changes is possible to be the same thing, that what they are still buying, what the consumer might not even react to it at all. At that point, we'll be having inelastic demand. Because the response rate there is not going to be, they might not even respond to it at all, that okay, the salt you are buying 15 naira because they are not selling it for 100 naira. Are you going to be, because of that, now are you going to be saying that okay, you won't add salt into the food you are cooking? No, you are still going to add the same quantity, despite the fact that the price has changed. But if you look at the diesel that I gave out as an example now, so if you are consuming 50 kg, 50 liters of diesel before, you can find a way to reduce it to maybe 30 liters because they've increased the price. So you that always that like to make use of van of AC fan 24/7, you reduce the gap. That means, so in order to reduce the gap, you need to wash out at what you are using. So at that point, you reduce the quantity that you are buying. That's elastic demand. That's elastic demand. So that's a general view about the elasticity. Let's go back to the note. Elasticity in the market. They said the price elasticity of demand measures how big the reaction of the quantity demanded is to price change. Price changes is the degree of responsiveness to it, of demand to changes in price. The degree of responsiveness of demand to changes in price. So the demand for a commodity may be influenced by many factors. Its price, the influence might be in form of its price, the price of its substitute goods. Last time goods is that if you can decide to switch from one product to another, consume the two at the same time, they are substitute goods. You substitute it for the other one. Substitute goods, like talking about the Coke and Pepsi, they are two different products. So you can switch, you can decide to go for Coke and leave Pepsi, or you can decide to go for Pepsi. Increase in the price of Coke, people will switch to the demand for the substitute goods, which is the Pepsi. So that's the example of substitute goods. The consumer's income change. Incomes. If your income change, how will you react to it? We can look at the reaction of demand from that aspect as well. Generally speaking, the elasticity of demand measures the percentage change in the demanded quantity of a commodity in response to a 1% changes in any specific factor influencing the demand. We have so many factors influencing demand. But in this regards now, we can look at the price, the consumer's income, and price of substitute goods, for example. So if the price of the goods change, what is the degree of responsibility per percentage? That's in 1%. What is the changes in it? That's what the elasticity is talking about. Let's move on to the next slide. The price elasticity of demand shows the ratio of the percentage of change in the quantity demanded to the percentage of change in price. So they've given you the table, they will give you a table. They also, inside of the table, they are going to put the quantity that the consumer is getting at a certain price. So inside the same table, you will see the prices, different prices with different this quantity. When the price of one change, what is the reaction of the other one? So in order for you to measure it, you have to find the ratio of the percentage change in the quantity demanded to the percentage change in its price. So what we do is that you pick the quantity, find the changes in the quantity. That means you minus quantity 1 at the first position, you minus from the second position. Then you now divide it by the price, by the changes in the price. So we are still going to look at that. We are still going to look at the table aspect of it, whereby I will do a little calculation on it. Though because it's online, might be a bit kind of not being straightforward, but to some extent, we'll find a way to explain it for us to get it. So similarly, the income elasticity of demand shows the ratio of the percentage of change in the quantity demanded to the percentage of change in the consumer's income. Now, we are still on the elasticity aspect of it. We have another aspect of it that we have to look at it, which is to say the cross price elasticity of demand. So when you are talking about the cross price elasticity of demand, it's talking about the changes in the quantity demanded to the percentage of changes in the quantity demand in the price of another commodity. In this cross price elasticity of demand, we always measure using a substitute goods or component compensating goods. So in this substitute goods, you look at the price of, if the price of Coke changes, what is going to be the effect on the price of Pepsi? They are trying to measure the changes in one product, in the price of one product, and its effects on the price of the other commodity. So the formula still remains the same. What you just do is to find the changes in that quantity divided by the changes in price of another commodity. So in that regard, let's move on to the formula aspect of it, which is the same thing that I've explained before. The little table I put here, the little formula I put here is just talking about the elasticity, how to measure the elasticity of demand. Now the formula is the changes of S over S divided by changes of Z over Z. where X is the current initial value of the demanded quantity. This is what we are saying. Forget about the grammar there. What you do is that you pick for you to get the percentage change in the quantity. You minus the lower quantity, the lower level quantity from the. Don't let me put it in that way. The table, if they are arranged in form of table, let's say A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3 to 5. You pick the quantity at the number, let's say number 5 level. You minus it. You minus the one at number 4 from that number 5. So the difference is the changes in quantity at that level. Then you also do the same thing for price. You minus the one at level 5 from level 4. So the difference is also a changes in the price. So you now divide the two, the quantity, the changes in the quantity divided by the changes in the price. So whatever the percentage, whatever ratio is giving you is the response rate. That's the degree of the responsiveness of the demand on the elasticity. So at this level, I don't think they will ask you too much questions on that, but basically that's what they will ask you, the measurement of it, which I explain better under the measurement of elasticity. If you are talking about, if they are asking you to coefficient of price elasticity of demand, my brother, my sister, it's basically the elasticity of demand that they are asking for, the measurement of it by finding the ratio of X, that's the quantity, changes in the quantity, and the changes in the price. So that's what the measurement is all about. So the elasticity of demand is measured by the coefficient of elasticity. The formula is the same thing, which is this. I don't think I have to explain this again. Well, we are talking about the measures of it. Let's move on to the next slide. Now, at this level, the measurement of the elasticity took three different ways, from price level to price elasticity level. That means when you are talking about the substitute goods, when you are comparing with two different goods, they are trying to compare it to measure the elasticity when the price of one change. Like if the price of petrol changes now, what is going to be the effect on the house? There's who will demand more of car. So that's what cross price elasticity is talking about, other products. But the coefficient of income elasticity, we are talking about when the income of demand change, when the income of consumer changes, what is going to be the effect on what the consumer is getting? What is going to be the effect on the demand? Is the consumer going to get more of the same commodity? So the basic idea or the basic logic behind is that if your income increase, general view, ceteris paribus, everything remains the same or it is equal. If your income change, you are going to demand for more. You buy more. You buy more of clothes. You buy more of shoes. You buy more of material things. With someone that its incomes drop. If your income reduce, your demand for a certain commodity will also reduce. Your demand will go down because the income is not the same thing. Except there is exception in everything. There is always exceptional situation. What are the exceptions that we are talking about here? The exception is about the situation of inferior goods that are not those goods. So that's why we still have to measure the degree of responsiveness, because if you are telling you that goods A, goods B, there's no way you can figure it out and say, okay, this goods is inferior goods, that the changes will... No, until you measure it, find the changes, you find the difference between the quantity you are demanding before now and the quantity you are demanding now. What you are buying before and what you are buying now, you find the difference, you minus it. If you are buying let's say 5 units of Coke before, and now you are now buying 3 Cokes, so that means there is difference of 2. That is the changes that we are talking about here, which is 2 Cokes. So then you now compare with the income, the money you have. When you're having, let's assume when you're having like 2,000, that's when you are buying 5 Cokes. But now you're having just 1,500, so you are buying Coke.
Hello, can you hear me, bro? Can you hear me? Hello.
Can proceed, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, you have less than 5 minutes to go.
Wow. Long way to go. I'm sorry for the delay, and I promise you guys that our next class will not be like this. I'll put everything in place.
Oh, no problem, it's fine. So will you be able to cover
Sorry,
up
do you
this?
have any question for me?
Okay, okay. Are you done? Are you okay? You finished the class, right?
I'm not done. I have a lot to do on it. No way we can cover it all within this minutes. Anyway, let's round up the elasticity, the measurement of elasticity aspect of it, so that we know that our next class is going to be on fresh topic, which is the theory of consumer behavior. So at this point now, we are talking about the coefficient of cross price elasticity of demand. So which is talking about the changes in price of one commodity to the changes in price in quantity of another commodity. So that's what we call cross. They are crossing it to another one. Cross price elasticity. They are crossing the price of one to another commodity. So anywhere you see price, they are talking about price of commodity A, changes in the price of commodity A in effect on the demand for commodity B. That's the cross price elasticity. So if you see income elasticity, talk about the income on demand. If you are talking about price of demand, there are the changes in the price to the quantity. Basically, we have 3 angles, 3 ways to measure it. It can come in form of price elasticity of demand, or it comes in form of the income elasticity of demand, or cross price elasticity of demand. Either of those 3, we can make use of them to decide, to determine the elasticity of demand. Any question? Hello, do you have
No
any question?
question. I have no question.
You said?
So I have no question, but can I get the PDF of this elasticity of demand?
Of course. I will share with the coordinator.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
So that you can go through it. And in our next class, if you have any question for me, just write it down. They ask me. I will explain it better.
Okay, thank you very much.
We don't have time, but our next class is going to be based on the theory of consumer behavior. How does consumer behave? How does consumer behave in the market? How does it behave in the market? What is the consumer judgment? The utility of consumer, the consumer satisfaction. That's what the consumer behavior theory is all about. How do you satisfy the consumer in the market? It's very paramount. So next class we'll discuss about that. Thank you guys. I think I have just 1 minute left.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome. All right, bye.